Yo, what's up, guys? Um, so I do feel better. I am all good. I just don't have time to do a lecture today. We're gonna have to do tomorrow, and we have to do tomorrow because I'm leaving later Thursday afternoon, and I won't be back till basically Monday. I'm not sure if I can stream. We'll have to see if I can stream on Sunday or Saturday. I'm really not sure, but yeah. So we pretty much have to do tomorrow, and I'll put out the time later. But I can do these recaps for you guys real quick. So we're gonna go over both trades in one video. So here on the higher time frame, we have gold and a correlated asset here, which is gold GBP. And remember this universal sequence from a long time ago up here, right? Cracking correlation between these highs, which is pretty much all-time highs, and we displaced away. We know that when we form SMT and we displace away, creating a gap, that gives us like this higher, it's a higher probability range from low to high. So you mark it from reversal high to retracement low. This gives us a high probable leg. Now, if we jump up to the 3-month chart, we know that we know the new quarter just opened, right? So you get this kind of like a reversal candle, especially on silver over here. So seeing the previous quarter's low is a possibility. Now, I personally don't really care to view price like this on the higher time frame because it doesn't really matter to me, to be honest, because I'm a day trader. I don't really care about predicting these big moves. Because here's the thing, it's like you're gonna still, long within this bearish. If we do get down here, right, you're still gonna have opportunities to long. It doesn't make it invalid. So trading counter trend to this idea is still absolutely fine. So I'm not gonna only short, for example, because I'm not holding to here. So it doesn't really matter. I don't really do a lot of predicting on the hard side from too much. Just like I just want to see the next week and the next day. Really, that's really all I care about. But one thing that's interesting about price is how fractal it is. And when you have like maybe a gap, right? And maybe price is not reversing from the gap, or you just have a range and you have a gap within that. Price is retracing and it's not maybe reversing. Something that's interesting is you will see that you will jump up a time frame and you will let that time frame form a gap. And this is fractal, right? We do this on all the time on the 30-minute, the 1 hour, the 1 hour, the 4 hour. We do this all the time, right? Where price will, let's say this is a 30-minute time frame, it'll trade into a gap. It won't reverse, for example. And now this is the new gap low, for example, right? This right here, this low is now the new gap high on the 1 hour, for example. You can see this right here on the 2-week time. I know it's going to sound stupid, but the 2-week time frame. There's nothing special about any time frame you guys use. People are using the 7 hour, the 6 hour, dude, the 90-minute. Like, there's nothing special about any time frame you pick. I could pick the fucking 40-minute time frame. You're going to see the same things, right? It's all about calculating that specific increment of time, right? So if I use the 2-week chart here, you're going to see what I'm talking about, right? We are with this candle right here. We are within the weekly fair value gap right here, within this weekly candle, this 2-week candle, right? But it doesn't reverse, right? So what does it do? When this 2-week candle closes, it creates a higher time frame gap, and that's when price reverses. Does that kind of make sense? And it forms that two-stage SMT, right? It's fractal. Now, am I going to teach 2-week time frame? No, but I just want to teach you guys a lesson about how fractal price is. Okay. So simply, if you're just going on a weekly time frame, we can see something. This is what we mainly use, right? And I'm not going to teach how to do this on all time frames because it's not necessary. Obviously, it's going to be confusing. Okay, so here's a PSP, and we have a two-stage PSP, right? And this PSP high is the 2-week high or 2-week low low of the fair value gap. Sorry, right? So there's an SMT fill there, but it doesn't matter, right? But here's your two-stage PSP, and then next week reverses, right? Now, I don't really like the way price looks here. It's more so just expanding away, not even the cleanest reversal, I would say. So this week opens up. This is not bad, I guess you could say. Like the candle 3 here, Monday does open high first, and it prints a PSP. So this is honestly fine. I still just don't like the way this reverses, to be honest, because like if this is the reversal, right? I don't like the way we this candle prints, right? I want it to displace away, right? Creating a bearish candle, not like close back inside of the range like this. But that is like kind of like the last chance to continue from, I guess, is this previous candle's high. Because think about it, this could be viewed as like relevant highs right here. The space between this high and this high, and obviously it's a PSP, so you definitely would want SMT there, interverse from there. So it's like whatever. But anything up here on the daily time frame, there's no protected daily high. It's just a bunch of failure swings, right? Let me just look at it. Let's kind of get here. Like, look at these highs, right? Boom, 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 boom. There's no like real retracements going on here. A bunch of failure swings, so it's really hard to trade this. It's just consolidation, right? So like some expansion and just consolidation, right? And what do we do after consolidation? We expand again. So yeah, there's really nothing much going on here, but today here, we mark out on these assets, right? When we actually create SMT with relevant levels like this, and then we fail to manipulate them. Look at this asset yesterday, Tuesday. We just failed to manipulate them. You can see here, if I bar replay, if you can hear these birds chirping, yeah, sorry, dude, but yeah, they're going crazy. But as you can see here, we engage with this low. You can see this is pretty far away, right? But this asset over here just continues. Whoops. This asset over here just continues through the low. That means that this asset can catch up, right? And that's what happens to pretty much yesterday. And it's really the same thing, right? When this asset, gold, engaged with this low, if we get a continuation phase of price, like consolidation / retracement, that means an asset like silver can do the same thing pretty much, right? It should also continue, right? To potentially the same lows, right? So that's what I'm kind of going off of, right? And if we're going to continue, where are we going to continue from? The previous day's range, and ideally we're trading expansion, some type of gap, right? So we know if we're going to continue from the previous day's range, we want to look for a higher from gap in price. So if you go up to the 4-hour time frame, or the 6-hour. 6-hour, you can see it a little bit more clear, I do believe. Yeah, we can, right? So check this out. Inside of that previous day's range, what we got? Gap here, and obviously that's SMT fill, right? So one thing about Q1 is most of the time it's just accumulation. Especially with the way, you got to understand the way this candle forms is highly likely to be accumulation. I'm going to show you why. So let's play the whole candle out. So I'm not going to trade this candle, this SMT fill here. I'm going to show you why. So when you actually look in this, so you could have potentially, I guess, right here, like maybe like up in here, but the way it kind of forms kind of ass. So it does open low first, right? And then it trades into this. This is a strength PSP. So I would say you could have definitely potentially traded this. The wick size, though, is a problem, right? The wick size is an issue on the 4-hour. So that's why I say I would not trade this. And I didn't trade this. But mainly this here, I think there was some SMT up in here. Like before, if I'm not mistaken, at least, like some assets took this out. I know that for sure. Yeah. Yep. It's like some SMT right here, right? The reason why you wouldn't trade this inside of this 6-hour candle, if I look here, if it plays, so this first 6-hour candle of the day is because of how it forms, right? Look how it forms, right? Opens high, opens low, opens high. Same thing over here, right? It's like seek and destroy. Like this is the definition of consolidation or accumulation, right? So just wait for that time increment to close, right? So we need to wait for that to close because the current candle that you're trading does not support, it's not an expansion profile for the candle. It's like a daily candle. If it doesn't support an expansion profile, you're not going to trade it, right? Same shit. It's the same thing. Price is fractal, right? So if I play price at 12 o'clock, here's 12 o'clock. Let's go and see what that candle looks like on the close. I don't know why it's so laggy. It's weird. But we do create a PSP, right? And what we look, and when we look inside this candle, this 6-hour candle, to know if we need to sweep the high or not. You're just going to simply look, do we have a reversal within this candle or not? If we don't, you need to re-sweep the high to create a 2-stage PSP. Right? Very simple stuff. I mean, it's really simple. So when we go to the hourly, right? Clearly, we don't have that, right? When I look over here, what is this shit? Like, this is like an inside bar type of thing going on, right? It's just not reversal, right? And I can kind of go to the lower time frame and show you as well. Right, see these equal highs, equal highs up the here and over here, right? There's literally damn near equal highs is here up here as well, right? Equal highs right here, right? Just not reversal, right? So when you play price, there's really no confirmation to that anyways. Boom, this is what you want right here. This is the relevant piece of price action right here, because this is when we create that 2-stage SMT. You also wouldn't want to trade in this candle either, like I said, because or you don't want to trade in this candle, sorry, 2200. It's much like this 4-hour candle, right? The wick is too large, right? Wicks are way too big here. So just wait for 2 p.m. or 2 a.m., sorry, 2 a.m. So wait for that candle to close. Now it's the same thing. You know, do we have a reversal within this candle? Just because you have a C2 closure in SMT doesn't really mean it's a reversal. You got to have reversal signatures up in here, right? So what do we have? Like, what are we opening up within? Like, this looks perfect, bro. Like V shape and everything. Basically, this next 5-minute candle is the 2 a.m. open, right? And what did we do within the previous 4-hour candle? Just at the end of it, the last 20 minutes of that candle, we actually created the 2-stage SMT, right? And the CST. Look at the V shape here. So this is when I just took a positional entry, right when the candle closed, basically, or right when the 4-hour candle opened, the new 4-hour candle opened. I put my stop loss like this, and you're gonna see that's what cooked me. But I was looking for this low down here, right? It's just 4-hour internal to external. Simple stuff, right? The low of the day is 2100 as well. But yeah, this is just obviously a consolidation phase of price right here on the higher time frame, right? If I go like the 4-hour, for example, slash retracement, right? This looks like consolidation, right? We're just inside barring between one candle. So it's just very small range, right, after expansion. So seeking continuation, obviously ideal. And this is the 2-stage PSP, right? Bearish candle over here, bullish candle over here. We sweep the high, we don't sweep the high over here. There's 2-stage PSP. And you don't need to confirm this SMT with like a 1-hour / 30-minute PSP or like 2-stage SMT, because this in itself is a 2-stage SMT, guys. This higher time frame 2-stage PSP. That's what's confirming the gap here, right? And now you're just aligning expansion candles, right? So obviously this candle you're not going to trade within because it has a large wick. So you're going to wait for 2 a.m. So now you're aligned. If you look at the profile, how today more so opening, high first. Not on this asset, obviously, just because it's weaker. It's creating the bearish candle, right? It's more so just in a consolidation phase, though. We cannot say that this is an established low of day, though, right? We cannot say that. We more so have an established high of day, but no established low of the day, right? This didn't really do anything. Didn't trade into anything really relevant. So yeah, we're good to go, right? When you look at the 2 a.m. candle, what are we opening up within? A 1-hour or above swing point, or sorry, a 30-minute above swing point. You have a C2 over here, a C2 over here. So I'm looking to trade C3, and I'm just assuming that 2 a.m. will just open high into the CSD and then go like that. But it does do that, of course, but it goes really high in the range, right? Disrespecting the EQ of this candle, and that's what takes me out. So I'm not expecting price to do that, and it, of course, does that. And it stops me out right there. So that's really unfortunate, but, you know, it is what it is. Maybe I could have traded this weaker assets here. So it is what it is, though. I'm not really tripped about it. Kind of sucks, but I just went to bed right after that. You could have potentially got in again if you're awake and whatnot. But yeah, it's unfortunate, but it does hit TP. And yeah, man, it is what it is, boys. When you look here as well, there ends up being a 90-minute gap here in price. So you get a new 4-hour candle open, right? You can see that we have closed below that new day open gap, right? Looking for 6 AM continuation. Right, this is C3, here's C4, you also see CSD as well. Within that previous candle's range, you do have an hourly gap. Now, the reason why you would not want to trade this is a like really good. You could trade this over here potentially, but I wouldn't trade this asset here. This is like kind of like it's like kind of like a strength switch almost, right? But if you actually look within the 4-hour candle, this is like kind of low probability, but this has like equal lows, which I would still trade this asset, like dead ass. I would 100% still trade this asset, 100%. Here's kind of why. This is what happened here. So the reason why you want to trade this asset is because close trend's obviously overall weaker, right? And the reason why you don't want to trade this asset is because it's really low range. The next target is really far, right? Like this low right here on silver is what gold is trading into right now. So you want to trade this asset here, 100%, right? You can even see like the lower time frame signatures is a lot better on this asset. It's because it's actually weaker, you know. So you want to trade this asset 100% to this low, and the reason why you don't want to trade this asset is because it's at the end of a 4-hour candle that is an expansion candle, right? So if you think about a candle's ADR, right? Look at this candle's range. It's very, very large. Do you see that? Very, very large candles. And then when they hit objectives, look what we do, especially with the space S&T. You're going to get another phase of price. So this phase of price that you just got right here, right, was just to get this low, right? So when you get this low, what are you going to get? A new phase of price. And then what do you have over here, basically? You're entering super low on the range, right? So this next 4-hour candle opens up right here, and it's just going to take you out. You know what I'm saying? So that stuff is like really advanced, though. Like honestly, it's pretty advanced stuff to understand that. But that's why you would not want to trade like continuation in this candle. You thinking that this is a 2-stage SMT that's going to hold or something. You have to view it like it did its job, and it's very low probability. I hope that makes sense to you guys. Why you would trade this asset here and this SMT here is really just to get this low. When you get this low, literally the next hourly candle is a new 4-hour candle. Yeah, like you're gonna get new phase of price likely, right? But yeah, so that's a reason that you could have maybe not traded this asset and you would have traded this asset, right? It's obviously closer to the draw. And you wouldn't trade like candle 3 here, right? Candle 3 here, because the new 4-hour candle just opened up. And you're likely to get a new phase of price, to be honest, at this low. So that's just something there. But when you zoom out here on the 90-minute time frame, like I said, you're going to see gaps where you don't see gaps on the lower time frame. So you don't really see a gap on the hourly time frame, but then you do on the 90-minute time frame here. So ideally you want to see a strength switch here or a failure to manipulate. Now you can see there is a slight switch in strength. It's not in the form of a PSP, but you can see the body size here. Look at the body size here. See how small it is compared to this asset? Very large. When this asset took the low. So here you just have a sequential SMT with a gap. You wouldn't trade within this candle because it has a large wick. Right? You ideally want to wait for C3, right? So that's a potential entry in there, but I don't trade at that time, really. So let's look within here. It's not really the best looking reversal, though. Let's see if these assets, like, yeah, I probably would not trade that, honestly, but let's see up in here. So here you have like a gap in price, but there's no SMT fill. I'm not so sure I would trade anything in there. Probably not. Okay. Okay, so you do have SMT here, actually. Here, I suppose. But at this point, you already took the low down here. I probably want to trade the lag asset, but anyways, probably nothing there. I'm going over shit that I didn't even take. But yeah, that was my trade on silver, guys. Enough yapping about that. I just be yapping for real, but I just like to go over price a little bit. But what else? What else? So RTY. So check this out here. So this absolutely makes sense. Coming back into the range after multiple expansion candles into all-time highs. We actually create SMT with all-time highs as well, right? So this 100% makes sense to retrace into this gap, right? But you're going to see that YM actually traded into the gap first. So if I play price, and when you look at this reverse candle, by the way, it's a consolidation, right? 100%, like obviously consolidation. But as you see here, we hit the consolidation low at around 6 a.m. Then the 6 a.m. candle, right? And that created an SMT right here. Right, so look at all these lows. All these lows, right? This is why I took RTY, bunch of lows here. Now, the high of day was not formed for anything relevant. It does open high first, though. It has a small wick, so we can definitely get here. We're not trading the reversal at the high of day because it doesn't trade into anything, right? It's literally just consolidation, basically. Right? Look at all these highs. Nothing relevant at all. So we would trade continuation. We have to wait for price to expand with my high of day, create a gap, and whatnot. So this here, trading to this low right here, and just creating SMT overall, and it failing to reverse from it is just an additional confirmation, right? So if I go to the 30 minutes here, you can see that failure to manipulate in the form of a consolidation candle, which is an inside bar. So price trades into the low. This is the candle, I do believe, that creates the SMT, yes. This is the candle here that trades into the weekly gap on YM, right? So it's creating SMT there. And we just consolidate, right? You can see this is a consolidation candle, right? Which creates a gap. So you essentially have expansion consolidation, which is a failure to manipulate, which means that you should continue, right? But ideally, we want to do what? We want to manipulate and then expand, right? So expansion, consolidation, manipulation with the gap, creating SMT, and we're going to go low, right? So you don't need a strength switch to trade SMT break if you get a fail to manipulate signature, right? This is on my YouTube video, my last YouTube video on asset sync. So this is also the key level within the previous 4 candles range. If we just mark out EQ here, in the lower half of that previous 4 expansion candle, this is the only key level that resides within that, right? So that's good there. Then all I need to see is an SMT with a gap and a continuous and signature, right? This just leads me to believe that YM will continue, create new lows, right? This is also just the previous 4-hour candle low. Obviously, we would assume that YM could probably get there because what are we closer to, right? Are we closer to the previous candle's low or the previous candle's high, right? Obviously, the previous candle's low. So YM has a reason to continue lower. And yeah, it's pretty simple logic, right? Just a failure to manipulate signature. When I go to lower time frame, like the 3 minutes here, you get this close, and I'm pretty much good, right? You can see over here, YM is already starting to expand, but I don't have a target for YM, so I'm gonna have to trade that lagging asset pretty much, right? So this is what I take here, all the way to this low. And yeah, it's a pretty clean trade. It does go a little bit further, but I don't care about that. I don't really care to anticipate that. I'm just trading to the low resistance lows, right? When you have low resistance lows like this or any type of low resistance targets, it's very, very, very nice to have as a target. Makes your trade like so much more high probability. But here's my executions right here to the low. And yeah, it's just a simple little trade, man. There's nothing really to go over. Yeah, those are my 2 trades that I took today. A lot of yapping, but when you look at this consolidation, right, we just have a pretty much inside barring between two candles, right? Consolidation. You can have an internal consolidation. So you print a reversal candle, but there's no reversal within it really. So it's either you print an internal reversal, which is obviously less probable, or you take out the high to resweep it. Ideally, this is what you do, honestly, is you take out the high. But when you look in here, this is your internal consolidation. This is your internal two-stage. That's what you have to have. Is it an internal two-stage SMT? And the weekly, the profile to support it ideally, right? So when you look at this profile, what does it do? Open side first, creates SMT between Friday and Monday's candle, and then the second stage SMT between Monday and Tuesday's candle, and we expand away, right? Closing through these opposing candles. So now it's simple, right? You can assume that we would gravitate towards the low of the range first. That's what you're going to assume, right? As long as you respect EQ here. So you see what we're doing? You can still trade within this consolidation, and it makes sense that we can get a new phase of price, right? It's a weekly gap, you know? It's essentially just a C3 expansion. So when you like leave a consolidation like this, right, it's typically just a higher temp retracement. That's what MXM is, guys. It's just like expansion. Price does essentially, you know, reverse from consolidation, but it's typically just a higher time frame retracement is really what it is, right? So here's like your original consolidation, accumulation phase 1 or 2, whatever, right? Smart money reversal into a key level, and then we continue higher, right? But that's typically what it is. So when you see that happen, like when price does reverse consolidation at the high of range, typically what it is, it's just the start of a retracement or whatnot. But yeah, this is the logic to trade internal to that, right? Internal two-stage SMT, wait for price to expand away. What does it do? Create gaps in price. Now here, it would have been a valid, you know, short from this gap if you want to trade the high of day, but you can't trade the high of day because it doesn't really trade into anything relevant. If you go 6 hour, it technically does, but still, it's not valid. Like you can't trade the reversal up in here because there's really not much of a reversing trade. I don't. Yeah, there's definitely not, dude. There's definitely not. So you have an SMT fill here, but it's just consolidation. So I'll show you the SMT fill. So you guys see right here is SMT fill, right there, but it's still very, very low probable because YM is just still consolidating. So I don't really like to trade assets, like one asset if it's trading to a key level and reversing, but the other asset is just in consolidation. I like to do what, guys? I like to wait for the consolidation or one of the assets that in the consolidation to actually expand away, and then I'll look to trade the lagging asset. Like that's what I did the other day. We were in consolidation. I just let the assets consolidation just hit one of the opposing sides of the range. There's only two things can happen. The SMT will break. You'll trade lagging asset to that, or you'll manipulate consolidation and then trade higher. Like it's pretty simple, right? So ideally, you want to wait for the consolidation to break out, and that's essentially what I did here, right? Although you do have this internal two-stage here on the daily, it's not like I'm trading it. I didn't trade it. You know, we can just see like why it went to this low. This is all it is, you know. But anyways, enough yapping. That's it for my two trades today. And yeah, we'll do a stream tomorrow, guys. We have to do it tomorrow. Yeah, otherwise we're gonna have to wait till like next week. But I don't want to have you guys wait because you guys have already been waiting for a little bit since I was sick. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Y'all have a good one, and I'll see you tomorrow.